The Alpha Sessions.
So this is the Alpha Sessions. I'm Alan, and I'm very pleased to be joined in the studio by Lucy from Lucy and La Mer. Thank you very much for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
And you've had a bit of a distance to come here because you've actually come from LA, haven't you? So
yes.
Thanks so much for coming down. Yeah, it's a bit of a swim. Yeah, exactly. And in typical British style, we've got the heavy rain to accompany it as well. So we've laid it on specially for you. Yeah. So have you found your time in London so far? What have you been up to since you've been over?
It's been great. I'm really just in London for a couple days. I've eaten a lot. That's been the most. Eating a lot of food, walking around, seeing the sights.
Have you done any of these sort of traditional London things since you've been over here? Like, having a nice cup of tea and stuff like that?
Oh, I've had some good tea.
Have you?
I had a cream tea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love cream tea.
I don't know why we don't have those.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, well, I imagined it was just tea with cream in it. I didn't realize it was a whole separate scone
you have
with the things.
Scone and jam and, cream.
Yes,
yeah.
And a very important question. Is it jam and then cream or cream and then jam? Because I haven't gotten a straight answer.
Do you know what? This is a very big debate over here. For me personally, I would say it's got to be jam then cream.
Really?
If anyone tells you different, they're wrong.
Okay, well, there's quite a few wrong people that I've met
there
on
are
this
quite a
trip.
few wrong people, yeah, exactly. How does it compare, apart from the obvious, the weather? I mean, how does London compare to what it's like back home in LA?
Oh, I really enjoy it. It's just like any big city where everyone is kind of walking fast and doing their own thing and heading to work. But once in a while, someone will stop and say, "Oh, are you lost? Do you need some help?"
See, people do speak to each other in London. It's not
they
fair
do.
what they say, right?
Not a ton.
Yeah, that's
Not
true.
a ton.
Yeah.
But they do.
You've learnt the tube etiquette. Don't make eye contact with anyone.
Yeah, what is with that? I don't think you can eat snacks either.
No.
Okay.
Well, actually, I mean, like everyone does it. But
do they? Well, I haven't seen it. Because I was eating some pretzels yesterday and looked around.
You got some funny looks?
I got some looks.
Yeah.
Very brief looks. Nobody really
no,
stares
not too much
very
eye contact.
long.
Exactly.
It's kind of fascinating how many people you can cram in there,
yeah.
but nobody's looking at each other. Very awkward.
Well, it's great that you've come to the RNOH anyway as part of your Whistle Stop tour, so thanks so much for coming down. We're going to talk loads about your new single, which has just come out, and all your gigging and stuff like that. But we actually got you in as we were recording this. Your new single came out yesterday.
Yep.
Called Discover.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the new single.
So Discover is a little different. It's not about heartbreak or anything super sad. It's actually this very kind of earnest, optimistic track about going outside and just looking around and getting yourself up and allowing yourself to explore and let go a little bit more.
Okay, cool. And let's talk about your sort of growing up in LA, because you're from just outside of LA, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a couple hours.
How hard have you found it sort of trying to break into the music industry over there? Because I know from speaking to other previous guests who've been on the programme, it's notoriously difficult to get onto the scene there, isn't it, for a new artist?
It is. Yeah, it's not, I wouldn't call it like the friendliest scene. You will meet so many people and they will all be nice. But in terms of actually becoming a part of kind of like the staple music scene in LA, it takes years. I mean, you'll hear that from bands. You'll ask, "Oh, how did you do this? How did you do that?" And they're like, time. You just got to give it time. You got to play all the venues this many times. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot more than just playing music.
I was going to say, what is the secret then for anyone sort of trying to, moving to LA maybe for the first time, trying to make it out there? What advice would you give to them? Patience. Really? Yeah.
Lots of patience and be nice to everyone. I think a lot of people will give the cold shoulder there. There can be a lot of competition. I think it's just so important to encourage each other and support all the other artists that you're with and share shows and trade shows where you headline one and they headline the other. Things like that, kind of building more community, because I think it's something that's really lacking in LA.
Do they have sort of new music evenings in LA as much as they do, say, over here in London?
It doesn't sound like we have as much. It sounds like it's really celebrated here in London. And I would say in LA, all music sounds new because you have so many different bands playing all the time that it's kind of rare to actually catch the same band twice on accident because there's so many bands playing everywhere every single night. And we do something called Monday Monday at Hotel Cafe, which is a notorious singer-songwriter spot. And for that, it'll be, 3 songs from an artist, and it's a nice long lineup of 15 people or so. So you'll hear some really good new stuff. But chances are you'll know a few of the people playing.
So to anyone over here listening, LA sort of sounds so glamorous. If you've gone to LA to perform, that's sort of, the highest point, really. I mean, how is it from your side? Is it as glamorous as
Really?
we all perceive it to be?
It's fine.
Yeah.
I think I used to really put it up there, because it's Hollywood and it's where everything happens and there's a lot of opportunity. But to be very honest, the audiences in LA, I love you guys, they're not great. They don't dance. It's really hard to get people to participate.
Wow.
Yeah, because everybody who lives there and is coming to the shows, a lot of people are bloggers in the audience. A lot of people are other bands just coming to check out the scene. It's not your fans. So the cities I really enjoy are not actually where I live.
And there you go. There was me thinking we were the reserved ones all the time.
LA's a weird thing. It's kind of a lot of cities in the States will dance and they love music and they love to just let loose and have a good time. But Los Angeles is very much a work mentality, just like London or Paris.
So tell us about some of your musical influences growing up then. Who did you used to listen to?
My mom and dad both played a lot of vinyl records just while they were doing whatever in the house. My dad also plays guitar, so a lot of folk singers like Bob Dylan, Pete Seeger, Joni Mitchell. Those were the earliest influences. And then I really liked Leslie Gore, who's also from, a little further back, but I really enjoyed her music and kind of the passion she put into her songwriting.
So did you want to get into songwriting and performing from quite an early age?
Yes and no. I think when I was very young, like elementary school, I loved to sing. And I didn't talk much. I still don't talk that much, but I sing a lot just walking around. But I was very shy. So I really enjoyed academia a lot more, and I thought I was going to be a professor of psychology for a long time.
Oh, wow, yeah.
To the point that I started studying it, and the more that things came up in my life, I looked into music therapy as well, and then ended up just going into music after all.
I was going to say, was there a particular point in your life where you suddenly decided that music was going to be your main thing?
Yes, the day I graduated college.
Okay.
Yeah, much to my parents' dismay.
Yeah.
I was studying a lot. I was doing a lot of research in the psychology labs. And then after I was done at the labs in the basements, I would walk back to my house and I would pass the music library. So what I would do is I would duck in there, and they had rooms with pianos. And we were going through a lot at the time. My dad lost 2 of his sisters and his dad all within a few years. So we were in hospitals a lot. And this is a wonderful hospital. I'm very happy to be here. But I just couldn't be near them at that time. So I wrote a song on piano. And this was the first song I'd ever written. No one's ever heard it. And it was called I Hate Hospital Beds.
Wow.
And it just describes walking into a hospital and the white sheets and the little cups and all this stuff that I needed to let out.
Yeah.
And it felt so good to have that avenue of expressing yourself. So that's where I went into music therapy, and then I said, I'm just going to move to LA and play music for a while.
Wow. So it's
I
a big
needed
step.
to get out. Yeah.
And, I mean, you say your dad was a musician as well. Have you sort of ever written stuff with him or performed with him?
I would love to write with him. I've told him this. He performs mostly other songs that he's heard and really made his own, so a lot of old folk songs, and he'll play them when the family's together at the end of the night. But we haven't performed together, and we haven't written anything together. He's written a couple of his own songs, but he doesn't perform publicly.
Okay.
However, I just got him a mic for his birthday, so next time I talk to you guys, hopefully I can say,
oh, wow,
we played a gig.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
I would love that.
Okay,
yeah.
That'd be good. So he does sing as well then, does he?
Yeah, he's got a great voice.
Wow.
Yeah,
so it's obviously in the genes in your family then.
Yeah, I'll say that.
If you wait for me by the old oak tree, I'll carve my name next to yours. Cross my heart, hope to never die. Love like you can't be mine. Are you the shooting star I'm looking for? Will you wait for me? Will you wait for me? stops when I'm with you. So will you wait for me? Will you wait for me? It's many miles, but I'll be running home to you. So many colors in your eyes. Is it love or are they lies? I don't know. God, it's so beautiful. You hold my hand, but it gets dark. Every kiss, there is a spark that lights the night we all surrender to. So will you wait for me? Will you wait for me? Time stops when I'm with you. Will you wait for me? Will you wait for me? It's many miles, but I'll be running home to you. And I know that the leaves are gonna change. No, it won't all stay the same, but it's better than goodbye. It's better than goodbye. It's better than goodbye. So if you wait for me by the old oak tree, I'll carve my name next to yours.
The Alpha Sessions.
When did you start the Lucy and La Mer project then?
Right when I moved to LA. So first show I ever played, first time I sang in front of people was the first month that I lived in LA, almost 6 years ago. And it was terrifying and it was a lot of fun.
Did you always love performing live? Was that straight away sort of something you really wanted to do?
No, definitely
Really?
not. No, I didn't even like speaking in front of people very much. And especially just being in school all the time. Everything was, you write a paper and you send it in. You don't have to talk to anyone or perform or do anything.
Because your shows have, and we'll talk about this coming up, but your shows have gone on to be very interactive, actually. You do communicate with the audience a lot, don't you?
I do.
So
yes.
when did you sort of pluck up the courage to do that?
So I was playing in Texas during South by Southwest, and the audience, without me saying anything, just one of the couples started to slow dance, and it was kind of like an awkward, like their arms were very stretched out, and it reminded me of school dances. Where there's a lot of space between you and you're nervous and you want to dance with them, but you're scared to look at them and you're scared to touch them. So I told the whole room to do that and everybody got up and did it and we all started this awkward school dance tradition. So I do this at every show. We just did it in Manchester. And it's just kind of a way to interact with the audience. And honestly, it came from me being nervous on stage. So I would start rambling and making jokes and trying to get people to interact with me, and now it's just a big part of the show to bring people together.
So you sort of gained confidence from the responses you were getting from the audience.
Yes, one of the scariest things is when a venue has the light shining so bright on you that you can't see the audience. I hate that. I'd like to be able to see everyone in the front row and be able to say, hey, how was your day, in between a song really quick.
Wow. See, to me, that's terrifying, especially if you used to be quite quiet anyway. I think it's better to not see anyone, surely.
Oh, no way, because then you're just like, who's out there?
Okay.
How are they reacting?
And do you like the smaller, intimate gigs now, or do you prefer the bigger ones?
I do. I love the small gigs. I love So Far Sounds. I love radio show gigs. I love living room shows. I just love being able to talk to everyone after.
So how would you describe your sound to someone who'd never come across your music before? How would you describe it?
It gets called folk pop a lot of the times. So acoustic instruments like a baritone, ukulele, guitar, a piano, and then my voice, and then sometimes some fun jingle-jangly instruments in the background.
And obviously you play the ukulele today, but how many instruments do you play?
Quite a few. Actually, started drums was like the thing I thought I was going to do. So I played for 2 years. Very into punk music, had my phase in high school. That poor drum kit is still at my room in my parents' house. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I can't get rid of it. I love it. Yeah, and the neighbors. But then piano as well. I really love writing music on piano. And then I love touring with my baritone ukulele because it plays just like a guitar, but it's much smaller.
Yeah. Easier to carry around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can go in the overhead.
And whilst we're talking about ukuleles, you have an amazing ukulele, or at least you've used it in one of your videos. That's like a watermelon.
Oh, I love that one. Yes.
Where did you come by that? That is brilliant.
Oh my gosh.
You have to check this out on YouTube.
There's this group, Kala Ukuleles, and I'm actually endorsed by them. So I'm biased, but they are the best ukuleles, I promise you. Because they make the funniest designs, and they're just so playful. They have one that you can take in water. It's a waterproof ukulele. So you can play it in the jacuzzi.
How does that work?
Or on a boat.
You can't sing underwater.
I mean, you could.
We could try.
But it's more like if you're like at the beach and just like with your feet in the water, or you're at the pool. You don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about getting splashed.
Yeah, it's just waterproof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Have you done a video with that? Sort of in the pool?
No, I don't have one yet. I need to get one.
Yeah.
I need to get one.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
You also have, it's very evident from your, or even seeing you today and from your videos, that you have a very sort of distinctive, colourful look to you as well. Did you sort of consciously decide on that early on?
I've always worn a lot of colors. I think it's important. I think it's kind of easy to dress in all black or all brown, and most people do, and I totally understand that. But for me, I think it's just a nice, I'm very visual. So if you're feeling down or a little stressed and then you see, oh, that girl looks like a rainbow walking by, it's just a little pick-me-up.
And you've noticed we've even matched a little yellow microphone cover for you today.
And it's perfect. And it has a smiley face on it staring at me in the face.
The lengths we go to match with our guests.
I appreciate it very much.
Let's talk a bit more about this audience participation then, because that's come a massive part of why you've become popular online, really, is the amount of sort of good causes that you promote during the course of your live performances. And one in particular stands out for me, where you cut off 15 inches of your hair midway through a gig.
I did.
Which is scary anyway, let alone doing it in front of a live audience. So tell us all about that.
Well, you know, what I hadn't thought through is you really need a mirror when you're doing that. Because if you're just looking at all these people, it's like, oh, did I cut it right? It was tricky. But I threw a Locks of Love benefit at the Echo in Los Angeles, which was wonderful, and I teamed up. I brought in other local organizations like a hair salon, Rudy's Hair Salon, and so they had volunteers there for people who would donate their hair. So you got in free to this concert if you donated your hair.
Wow.
But then everybody who bought a ticket, part of that would also go to the foundation. And I just thought I didn't tell anyone I was doing this, but I thought it would be really great to just cut off my hair on stage in the middle of my set to say, hey, we can all help out and do something. Hair grows back.
Yeah.
You know.
What reaction did you get from that?
Oh, I think they enjoyed it quite a bit. Yeah.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you knew you were going to do that all along, did you?
I did. I was pretty nervous.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Didn't want to tell anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you've done lots of other things on stage as well. You've spoken out about things like sexual harassment and LGBT rights as well. Talk us through some of the other things that you've done on stage that you look back on.
For sexual harassment, I did a cover of Tainted Love, and the whole purpose of the video is to demonstrate that clothing is not consent. So I'm sure, just as in the States, a lot of victims of sexual assault are blamed for what they wear. So say you wear a short skirt and you're assaulted, things like this. It's just very important to speak about and never to blame someone, never to blame the victim. So what I did is, this was actually right after Trump was elected, same week. As you know, he has a few charges himself and allegations. So I went ahead and I stripped down to, I believe you call them knickers here, down to my underwear, and I just, I made a little speech about how important it is to recognize that what a woman wears is not asking for any kind of violent crime against her. So that's a little more serious one.
Sure.
But I also do host the Love is Gay benefit Valentine's concert, which is all about celebrating love in every form, gay or straight, and everywhere in between on the spectrum. And that's just a celebration of music and LGBT artists and local crafts, like people who make jewelry and paintings, and the whole community comes out just to celebrate.
I just think that's amazing that you've gone from sort of barely not wanting to speak to anyone on stage to this very powerful way of communicating with people about these great causes.
I honestly think it's a lot easier when you're up there, instead of just speaking about myself.
Yeah.
I think it's really...
Something that you feel passionate about.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I was going to say, do you feel more confident going on stage now than you did, say, maybe 5 years ago?
Yes. Yes, but it did take some time.
Are there any sort of techniques or anything that you have to do before a gig, like a pre-gig ritual or anything, to get yourself ready?
I usually have a cup of tea,
Okay.
which I think you can understand here in England. You guys like tea a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And then I always make sure to give, it's kind of a weird thing, I always give someone a compliment. So whether it's telling the bartender his hair looks good, or, you know, telling the sound engineer that she's doing a great job, things like that, that always helps me feel a little calmer.
Mm-hmm.
Just talking to someone and making an interaction and making it a positive one before getting on stage.
It's also an amazing way of getting all the audience on your side, isn't it, as well?
Oh, yeah, that's at least a few people.
Yeah, exactly.
I just find it's better when everyone's in a good mood.
Yeah.
Venues can be, you know, it's dark, there's usually alcohol everywhere, you know, some people are expecting a rock show, and then I get up there and... Yeah.
I also read on your website, it says you'll never hesitate to give someone a hug in the middle of a show as well. Is that true?
That's true. I've had shows where I had someone start crying. I have this song called Honey, Put Your Weapons Down, and I really enjoy singing it, but I've had multiple times, I've had someone come up who's kind of ending a relationship and say they really identified with the song, and it's just very on point for them. And so I was singing that song once, and somebody just was crying in the front row, so I just stopped and was like, hold on, everyone, this person needs a hug.
Yeah.
This is a lot. Because you can just see it, you know, and when you're at a show and you're experiencing so much, I'm sure that's the worst thing, though, to have, like, the whole show stop and get called out for feeling your feels. But I think they enjoyed it, and
That's nice.
it felt important.
Are you a hugger? Would you describe yourself as a hugger?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What makes a good hug? Because I'm with you on this one. You've got to commit to a hug properly.
You got
None
to.
of this half-hearted nonsense.
The half hugs are probably the worst hugs.
Aren't they?
Very common, especially
Yeah.
when you're just meeting someone. They do the very soft pat on the back,
Yeah.
or the one where you kind of stick your butt out and you're really just putting your arms.
Oh, that's so awkward.
No, it's the worst.
Yeah.
Just go in.
Can't be
go
doing
in,
that.
go big.
I had never been all the way to hell and back again, but thanks to you, I'm a seasoned traveler. 2, 3, 4, and I cannot explain the types of pain inside and out. I've had my doubts, and they've had me too. Everybody says just keep going, but sometimes I don't want to. Everybody says just keep going. When I close my eyes, I see you, and I feel better now. Oh, oh, I feel better now. Oh, hey, oh, I feel better now. Oh, hey, oh, I feel better now. Oh, oh, I feel better now. Oh, hey, oh, I feel better now. Oh, hey, oh, I feel better now. Well, it takes a whole lot longer than you'd think to hit rock bottom, but there, I did it. There, I done it. Now I'm coming up from it, and they don't get to decide when I'm on the rise and when I'm not. 'Cause I've done this and I've done that, and if you're counting my mistakes, I've sure done a lot. Everybody says just keep going. see you. And I feel better now, oh, oh. I feel better now, oh, hey, oh. I feel better now, oh, hey, oh. I feel better now, oh, oh. I feel better now, oh, hey, oh. I feel better now, oh, hey, oh. I feel better now,
The Alpha Sessions.
That song was written at a time when I felt it was just very sad. I woke up after a really big show and it was a big success and lots of, media came out and all that. But I didn't feel very good the next day, and I started to realize I was getting tired of being the emerging artist and the, upcoming artist, gonna be cool, artist on the rise. And I'd just been hearing that for so long, and it kind of comes back to patience again and just continuously working towards where you're working towards and not getting too caught up. But I wrote that song to cheer myself up and to say, it doesn't matter what anyone else says about me or writes about my music. I'm still going to make it. I'm going to keep going. And if they keep saying, brand new artist, look out, it's fine. Yeah. They can say whatever they want.
Let's talk about the songwriting process then for you. You've talked about some of the topics that you've covered already. How does it start? Does it start with the lyrics, the melody, or how do you go about songwriting?
A little bit of both. It's always just my voice. I'll be driving in my car or just kind of walking around, and I'll just start. It's usually a lyric, like a word in my head, or a phrase, and then I just kind of sing it and see how it comes out. And then if I like it, I'll try and repeat it until I'm finally home, and then I'll put music to it. But it's never like when I'm, sitting at a piano that something comes to me and I'm like, perfect, let's write this.
Yeah, so you don't sit down thinking, I'm going to write a song now. It's just something that naturally comes to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried that. And, I've done some jingle writing where you got to sit down and you got to write about this thing that someone's trying to sell. Yeah. And it's fine and you'll get something done, but...
Oh, you do jingle writing.
Emotional.
That's very fun. So, you have in front of you a Radio Brockley mug. I'm not going to get you to write one on the spot, but, perhaps
I'll
we
write
can
you
get
a jingle.
Yeah.
You tell me what you want.
Okay, I think we can do that.
On
that's
the
good.
house.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. All right. We'll
My
come back
pleasure.
to that later. We're gonna play that load. So listen in. We'll try and play that in future. That's really fun doing jingles. What's the most unusual thing you've had to write a jingle about?
I don't know if I can legally say this, but I will anyways. It rhymes with Munchables. Do you have that brand here?
Do we have no?
Lunchables. They wanted a yodeling-esque tune with no actual music behind it, but just sounds.
Right.
So that was weird. That was a weird night. I stayed up because it's always quick. It's always like, we need this by tomorrow. Give us the best you got and we'll pitch it.
Oh, wow.
So that was a weird... I think we ended up using banjo and some weird duck noises, reversed. And it was just... And it was yodeling-esque. It was like, oh-diddy-oh-diddy-ah-diddy-ah-diddy. It was nonsense words.
So they had a very definite idea that they wanted it yodel, but...
They had a very definite, very odd idea.
I'm just building
so
up
that would be... But for a big company, they make lunches for tons of people.
In my mind, I have a vision of a yodeling Radio Brockley mug jingle coming out.
Oh, it's coming at you. Just you wait.
I can't wait for this. It's going to be amazing.
I got a long flight home. I got some time.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm sure you're not going to get any funny looks on the plane with people sitting next to you. Right. What is this about? So let's talk now about some of the amazing live venues that you've played. Give us some of the highlights. Where's some of the best places that you've performed?
Sure. Well, let's see. Like I said, I love living room shows.
Yeah.
Big fan of living rooms. I've played some bigger ones like the Rose Bowl. That's really big. It's like a sports stadium in LA.
Yeah, hugely.
So that one
famous. If you don't like
people.
I was going to say, if you don't like big gigs, that's a pretty big one to play. Not
ideal, but it was during the day, which was wonderful because I could see everybody, and I still did the awkward slow dance.
Did you?
That was great. Yeah, it was good.
See, I'm not sure I'd want to be looking at 10,000 people in the eye. That's a lot of people.
Well, you can't. It is really hard,
okay.
But I could at least see the front row. I could see my parents and some friends. That's all you need. Yeah.
And you shared the stage with some amazing acts as well, including Moby. So how did that come about?
He's wonderful.
Yeah.
That was kind of just friend of a friend situation. He wanted to do have some backup singers and some other musicians on stage, so did a few gigs.
He needed the jingle.
He
gave
needed
you a
that
call.
jingle voice.
Yeah.
No, his music's really interesting. He's been putting out music for so many
Yeah.
years, and everyone knows him, as this EDM god, which he kind of is, from the 90s, but he's a great guitar player.
Right.
I think a lot of people don't know that. He's a phenomenal guitar player, really great songwriter, and he plays with a full live band.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's got a really great
that would be awesome.
punk album or two, actually.
I kind of
Yeah,
feel like
he's
you
fun.
want to get a punk album out there. Would you ever consider doing that now?
Yes.
Would you?
I would. I'm trying to think of a secret band name that I could do that under.
Yeah. That would
Yeah.
be great. So where would you love to play? Where would be, if you could have your dream gig of somewhere that you haven't performed at, where
My
would be the dream venue?
Favorite venue is the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, wow.
It's in movies like Anchors Away, like the old timey movies that I love. And it's an outdoor venue. It's like this big dome in Hollywood, and I love it because you can have picnics while you're watching, and
That
they do
sounds
live orchestras. And
Yeah.
it's just
Okay.
it's pleasant.
That
It's a
would-
very pleasant situation.
Let's aim for that then. So the Hollywood Bowl, and then
Mm-hmm.
who would be on the headline act with you?
Oh man,
Who would be your dream artist to play live on stage with you?
that's a tricky one.
Dream big,
Dream big.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyone you like.
okay. So Elton John will be
Elton
there.
John. Oh, wow.
That'd be just so I could get tickets to his show because I
Local
always
boy.
I can't.
He went to school just down the road from here
You're kidding?
with my mum, in fact. But
No
I'll tell you
way.
about that afterwards. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I mean, I'll get her to put a word in.
I would love to hear about that.
Yeah. Okay. So Elton John at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we always ask this question on Alpha Sessions as well. If you could have a dream rider, so in other words, if, before or after a gig, you could have anything brought to you, what would it be?
Okay, so my current rider literally just says fruits, vegetables, water, coffee. That's my current rider for gigs.
That sounds pretty low maintenance. to
And
me.
honestly, that's all you kind of need. I've seen some crazy ones. But
this
Dream
is
Rider.
dreaming big,
All right,
because I
okay,
reckon Elton John
okay.
might have a few, so, you've got to compete.
I would say probably like 2 to 3 fluffy puppies to hang out with before and after the show, just in the green room.
Yeah.
Someone there to supervise them as well, because
course.
that'd be stressful.
Yeah.
So some puppies. What else? Maybe like one of those chocolate fondue fountains that you can just put your ice cream in.
Oh,
those are so
great.
good.
Yeah.
Those are so good. You're not supposed to have dairy before you sing, so that would be after.
I had one of those for my birthday party once. They were amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
living the dream.
You waste so much chocolate on those things, though. We had to pour
Oh,
loads of
really?
it in a bag afterwards. That was
Oh
soul destroying.
no!
All
See,
I
that
could-
wouldn't happen with me
No.
though. You haven't seen me and sugar.
Okay. Right,
we
fine.
are very close.
Yeah. So after the gig, pig out on a chocolate
Yes,
fountain. That sounds good.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, we'll have a word with Elton. We'll see if we can make that happen.
Thanks.
Let's talk about social media,
Mm-hmm.
because I guess for anyone in the music business, love it or hate it, you've got to be all over social media, and you're brilliant at it.
Oh, thanks.
What's your relationship with social media? Love it, hate it?
I love it right now. It goes back and forth. I know a lot of other musicians. I've actually been, I've consulted on the topic. That's how much I get asked about it. I've always enjoyed it because I get to speak with so many people, and I get to share my music with people that I've never met before on the other side of the world. And I think that's wonderful. But I can see how a lot of people really hate it because it almost feels like, oh no, I have to post something. I have to say something. I have to share part of myself. And you don't always feel like doing that.
Yeah, I mean, we've sort of just about touched on the whole mental health thing, and obviously that combined with social media is such a big thing at the moment.
Right.
For an artist under so much pressure to kind of be a certain way, look a certain way, and you get so many responses, I guess, positive and presumably some negative. How do you find that? How do you deal with that?
I think you got to have a good head on your shoulders. I know after I came out, I received lots of really nice things. But it really just takes one really mean kind of death-thready kind of comment to just throw you off for quite some time and feel like you're not valid and your identity isn't good, basically. And this is, some stranger, someone you've never met, someone who's probably looking up the hashtag, LGBT or something just to get in there. So you have to really take it with a grain of salt. And the thing I recommend to a lot of my friends who don't feel good on social media is to check in with yourself before you go on it. So if you're having a stressful day or if you're just kind of like anxious and then you go on your phone and you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, that's just going to get worse because no one goes on Facebook and then is like, my life is great. You know, that's kind of, it's more like you're looking at other people and you're seeing what they're doing and you're taking it all in.
But it's a tough balance, isn't it? Because I guess you're ultimately trying to promote the positive side of what you're doing on social media. But I know a lot of artists now are sort of trying to promote sort of the not so good side as well to kind of have a balance. I mean, how do you find dealing with that?
Definitely, and you see that so much, and I think it's really wonderful. I hope people aren't overlooking it, kind of, because I have heard some people say it's kind of trendy to talk about how stressed you are on Instagram, things like that, and it's like, well, it should be. We're all really stressed out because we're on social media all the time. Yeah. I think it's really important to say, you know, here's a picture of me in a bikini on a beach, but yeah, I had a hard day, and then I took a picture on the beach. So, you know, sharing the full story is important.
And important question, Instagram or Twitter? Which one is the big one now for you?
That's really hard because I love Twitter. I've talked to some really random people on Twitter, and I've met so many cool people. You guys are on Twitter.
Yeah,
I think I found you on Twitter.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
And that's how I started watching some of your
not so
shows.
bad, you say?
Twitter's great. Yeah. I love it. Instagram is great, too. I think stories are really fun because you don't have to commit to posting something. You can just be like, here's my sandwich from lunch.
Yeah.
Okay, there.
I need to get into those stories more. Yeah.
You should. They're fun.
Yeah.
Plus, you can put little cartoons on them, you know?
Yeah, I need to learn all that stuff.
I'll show you.
I'm getting there. Okay, yeah, you can show me. Yeah, exactly. And for any artists just starting out on social media again, if you've got any sort of top tips for them, what would it be?
Yes. Document your truth. Someone told me that, and I think that's just so important. It doesn't have to be a big statement. It doesn't have to be anything you do is your brand. So don't worry like, oh, I shouldn't take a picture in this sweater because it's not on brand, or it's not, you know, it's not cool. I won't only put out this image. No, just document everything. People love authenticity. If you have 10 extra minutes and you're just hanging out at the bus station, just, you know, go live. Talk about, hey, I'm hanging out at this bus station. I really like this bus because the bus driver's really nice. You know, just random little things. It's all just about sharing part of your story so people feel like they can connect.
So what lies next for you? What's the plan for the coming few months?
So flying back to Los Angeles tomorrow, sadly. But I do have a new EP coming out called I Feel Better Now with 6 songs, a lot of fun. It's very positive. I thought I could write like this really sad record about, you know, being depressed or not knowing what I'm doing with my life, you know, the basics. But I just wanted to write something upbeat and fun. And so that'll be out. And then I will be going on tour. The Philippines and Australia are next on the list.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots of travelling.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll have another trip back to London in a not too distant future.
Absolutely. I love it here.
Good.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we look forward to having you back and seeing you at some point. For anyone who wants to find out more about you, where can they go?
So you can always use the hashtag #ListenToLucy. And the website is also listentolucy.com. But just come say hi on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. It is Lucy and La Mer, Lamer, and it's French for the sea, in case you were wondering.
And there was one more track.
Yes, Rainy Days. Special shout out to my dad because he said, you're in England, you need to play Rainy Days. And it just happens to be raining.
Well,
look at that.
Just for a change, it's raining over here. Who'd have thought, eh?
Yeah.
I know.
And we saw this wonderful rainbow outside before walking in. That was really great. That song's about just giving yourself a break. Basically.
We laid it on specially, for the colourful
yes,
image
thank
that
you.
you have.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was in my writer.
Yeah, exactly.
I should put that. That's what would be in that dream
That'd
writer.
be impressive,
like a rainbow over the venue.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thanks so much for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure having you here.
It's a lot of fun.
And we'll go and start working on that jingle.
Oh, yes, right away.
Late for work again, already spilt my coffee twice. Stuck in traffic again, and the other cars aren't being nice. And just when I thought the sun was gonna stick around for a while, a raindrop hit my windshield, and I cracked a smile. There's something about rainy days, something about that da-da-da-da-da on the sidewalk, something about the gray makes all my blues go away. I love rainy days. did my time, did the 9 to 5. Meet you after and we go for a drive down to the river to watch the water come alive. These dark clouds are clearing my mind. How can I worry so much all the time? You're my light, you're my sunshine. You're my light, it's gonna be alright. On these rainy days, something about that da-da-da-da-da on the sidewalk, something about the gray makes all my blues go away. I love rainy days, rainy days. Something in the way you always know just what to say. Let's take the long, long way home. Let's take the long, long way home. Let's take the long